Hello and welcome back to my FPL channel. I am FPL D Unit, getting the voice out of my thing, whatever you want to call it. Yes, I'm back for team selection ahead of Game Week 28 and my final plugs, which are very important in such a crucial week before our first blank game week, which is next week in Game Week 29. I'm on the road to 800 subscribers. Please feel free to like the video, which would be nice. And also, if you haven't already, please subscribe if you are new or if you've been around here for a while and are enjoying the content. Also, let me know in the comments what you like. Get up and about. There's been a lot of nice comments coming in. Please keep them coming. And without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So, the assistant managers of table bonus. That's where we're going to start this video. And look, some people are no longer on the chip, some people are, and some people are thinking about playing it. So I just wanted to give my updated version because earlier in the week I had this round a different way. But post Thursday night Europa League, I now believe that Graham Potter potentially has the most chance of success in terms of getting the table bonus this particular game week. So he now becomes the number one option for me. If I was playing the assistant manager chip this week, he's definitely number one. Postecoglou's dropped into number two. Yes, they're away from home against AZ Alkmaar, but they're from the Dutch league, and you would expect Tottenham to be beating them. And Spurs just proved that they're just being Spursy in there. But they're in front of Ruben Amorim and Man United because they've got Arsenal at home. And trust me, like, Man United just find ways of giving goals away. And in this game, it was exactly the same thing yet again. Very frustrating to watch as a United fan when we dominated for 70 minutes and then literally gave away a penalty that no one appealed for, and probably only gets given because it's Manchester United. It's hard to see him getting anything against Arsenal, but the Arsenal game is probably one of them ones where they probably will play better. Kieran McKenna's next up against Crystal Palace. He's number 4 because of the fact that Mateta's most likely going to be out. We don't know that yet because the press conferences will happen later today, but I'm expecting that to be the case. Ruud van Nistelrooy and Uric. I love you, Ruud. I am Ruud, but there's no chance of you getting any result against Chelsea at Stamford Bridge, and there's no potential chance of Juric getting anything against the league leaders, Liverpool. I just can't see it myself, so I wouldn't be going there if I was you and you were playing that manager chip this week. So, on to my final plugs for Game Week 28. Now, lots of people are actually thinking about playing the triple captain this week. Yes, I also have my triple captain available, but I have not thought for 1 second about playing it this week. I'm 100% going to be saving it for a double game week. There's plenty more of them to come. There's definitely going to be one in 32, most likely in 33, and we could even get another one in 35 or 36, depending on what results get thrown up in the FA Cup. So I wouldn't be using it on a Salah that may be rested. We don't know what Slot is going to do. Yes, they still haven't won the Premier League, but it's Southampton, and we saw what happened against Plymouth Argyle, and they're only 1-0 up against PSG after literally being played off the park. So I don't know if this is the correct way to do it. I even think the captaincy decision this week is a bit closer than what we would have thought it would have been. If Salah starts, he's the captaincy choice 100%. If he doesn't start, I can't see him coming off the bench. So it is very important that you nail your vice captain this week. Mine will be going on Cole Palmer, I can tell you that much, my vice captain. I'll still be captaining Salah, but just make sure you've got your vice captain on someone you actually want to be. Just in the event that Slot does do slot roulette, you're not missing out. So for assistant managers, as I just said, Postecoglou, Amorim, they're now behind Potter, and the other 3 I wouldn't even bother worrying about. Benching headaches again across the forward 8 this week are extremely tough with a number of tricky fixtures. And we'll look at the 4 players that I've got weighing up for my own benching decisions this week after we recap how I went in Game Week 27. Best defender to buy. I've got this in this order for this week. 1, Wan-Bissaka. That sounded cool. 1, Wan-Bissaka. 2, Aït-Nouri. 3, Doherty. 4, Tarkowski from Everton. Oh my God, I can never say his name right. Number 5, Kirkes. 6, Hoytson. And 7 is Munoz. Now, Munoz, if you can afford to bench him next week, maybe should be number 1 because he's obviously got Ipswich this week. And then after the blank, he's got Southampton. 2 amazing fixtures for him. I just think that potential of Mateta missing this game, it's not great for Munoz because I feel like he is enabled a lot by Mateta. That's just my personal opinion. Best mid to buy. I believe it's still Bruno Fernandes. I've still got him at number one. I do believe that if they get anything against Arsenal this weekend, it will be Bruno Fernandes involved. The dude was all over the place again last night. He gave away the penalty, which was unfortunate. But I just think that looking ahead to game week 29, Bruno Fernandes is the one player that I think that I'm looking forward to playing in my team next week, and I'm very happy I have him. He's got 10 points, 10 points. Who knows what he gets against Arsenal? If he gets anything other than 2, that's brilliant. Hopefully more than 2. And then, yeah, he looks really good for that Leicester away game, who can't keep a clean sheet and keep conceding goals to nil. Jared Bowen comes in at number 2. I really like him, and there is a world we'll look at in my team selection a little bit later when I look ahead to possibilities for what the transfers I potentially might do this week or next week, where Jared Bowen is actually involved in my plans for Cole Palmer. 3, it's Gibbs White. Gibbs equals White. Love that. Don't know why I did that. It is unlucky. Sometimes I have these typos. It is what it is. 4, it is Semenyo. 5, Mbeumo. 6, Nkunku. 7, Neto. You'll see that 10 is Enzo as well. That Chelsea fixture against Leicester does scream goals, a bit like the Southampton one. I wouldn't be surprised if they racked a few up. 8 is Damsgaard, and 9 is Minte. I think that he's going to be massively looked at in terms of trying to get Haaland into people's teams. He's dirt cheap. He's 5 mil. He's played the last 4 games for Brighton. There's a lot to talk about there potentially next week. Best forwards to buy. It is number 1, Chris the Woody Woodpecker. From game week 29 onwards, Chris Wood and Nottingham Forest have an amazing fixture run. A bit like what they had at the start of the season, they have towards the end of the season as well. And against Man City this week, it's at home. Man City can see goals, and I can see Alenga and Morgan Gibbs-White absolutely tearing them apart and then just teeing it up for Chris Wood. I could just see goals this weekend in that game for both teams. 2, Wissa. 3, it's Haaland. He has welcomed himself back into this little fixture, whatever you want to call it. 4, Beto. 5, Strand Larsen. Because of the fact that Cunha is out, you'll think he is nailed on for minutes. And number 6 would have been Marmouche, but he's not there. So, look, don't hate me for not including him. I ran out of space in this graphic, so it is what it is. So, recapping how game week 27 went, and it was a good game week. I went from 6,686 up to 4,687. That is my current rank. I'm very happy. I've only played the assistant manager chip. There's a lot more points to be had from this team. And unfortunately, though, I do have a couple of issues from this week onwards. So just to recap, Alisson, Becker and Trent, my double up in the Liverpool defence continues to pay off when I went that way prior to the Ipswich game. Yes, it didn't do well against Ipswich, but since then, it's been pretty damn good. One of them's returned, I think, in every single week since then, and quite often both of them have as well. So that's fantastic. Kirkes obviously didn't keep the clean sheet, but got himself an assist for Kluivert's goal, ironically. So the 2 players from Bournemouth combined for 14 points. I was pretty happy with that. The one disappointing thing was that Robinson started on the bench and then came on and got himself booked in the 94th minute for a 0-pointer. Like, that's just unfortunate. That's unlucky. Fulham really wanted that FA Cup. They got it. Maybe it paid off in the end. Obviously, Hall's 1 point would have come on instead. Not ideal. Milinkovic for the second week in a row. I've just absolutely fluffed that one, and he's just been sitting there on the bench. In the midfield, I did go Cole Palmer, vice-captain. He only got 3 points, and I don't know how he only got 3 points. He really should have got at least 10, but unfortunately, he can't finish a biscuit at the moment. Mo Salah, as the captaincy choice, doubled Cole Palmer captaincy choice, but it wasn't a good week for either of them, really. Mo Salah only got the 1 assist, no bonus points, which was bizarre because he just seems to rack up bonus points, but he didn't get any in this game. And Mbeumo, don't know why he's got vice-captain written next to him as well, because he was not, but he got 5 points. Oh my God, I'm having a great day today. I've actually had a rough day at work, so I put it down to that more than anything else. 5 points from Mbeumo, that was pretty good. Kluivert, with that goal, massive 10 points. Bruno Fernandes, what a man. Finally, I didn't leave some points on the bench here. He got 10 points from 2 assists and a couple of bonus. Chris the Woody Woodpecker, I picked him over Isaac to start, and he got 2 extra points, and Isaac did. That was just genius from me. And then Wissa, for the second week in a row, delivered points. At 17 points from the last 2 weeks for Wissa. A big 9-pointer there, which was really good considering that I was looking to move in for Cunha. I dodged that bullet, and obviously Cunha only got 2 points as well, so I made some points up there, and that's why I'm inside currently the top 5,000 teams. As you can see there, the bench, pretty much nothing. Fabianski didn't play again, 0. Isaac didn't play, 0. Hall injured, 1. And then Milinkovic, he got 5 points. That's unfortunate. You can't really predict those ones moving forward. So, onto my transfer plans for Game Week 28, and I am unfortunately in the position where one Lewis Hall, see my abode for him in yesterday's transfer tips video, he needs to go. There's no other option. And look, I am strongly considering bringing Haaland in. I'm going to show you a couple of permutations at the end of this video about what I could do, which is why I haven't moved yet. And Cole Palmer actually hasn't dropped in price yet either. Now, I'm hoping that Cole Palmer doesn't drop in price again overnight, because then I'll roll my transfers this entire game week into the deadline, and then I'll make my moves after the deadline, all for Game Week 29. I think that's what I'm planning to do. But there is a world where Trent gets benched, and if that's the case, then maybe I look to make this transfer move for my defender this week. It's just a matter of which one I want. So the option is I go to Munoz, because I know I'm going to play 3 defence next week, which means that I can bench Munoz, bench Trent, and then I can play my other 3 defenders, which will be Robinson, Kirkez, and Milinkovic. Doesn't sound too bad, especially with some of the fixtures that they've got. Or I can move him to Wan-Bissaka, Ait-Nouri, or Doherty. Now, Doherty's in there along with Ait-Nouri. There isn't actually that much between them. There's 0.02 expected goal involvement between them. Yes, I know Ait-Nouri's got a lot more attacking returns, but that doesn't mean that Doherty's not a bad pick. He saves you 0.4 mil. He's even cheaper than Wan-Bissaka at 4.4. And yeah, as I said, his attacking data is actually pretty good. His defensive data is actually way better than Ait-Nouri. So when Doherty's on the pitch, there's a lot more chance of a clean sheet than when Ait-Nouri's on the pitch. Just something I thought I'd flag. And yeah, that's essentially, this is probably the one move I'll make this week. I have 2 free transfers, and realistically, we'll look at what it means for my team moving forward right at the end. So the benching decision this week, it comes between Kluivert, who is away at Tottenham, and after I saw the highlights of the Tottenham game in the Europa League, I think that we can safely say that Kluivert is a play. Bruno Fernandes plays 90 minutes every game. And Man United have so many injuries, I can't see Bruno Fernandes not starting against Arsenal. And then if we do get anything, this man will be involved. So it's hard to bench him knowing that particular reason. Chris the Woody Woodpecker is Chris Wood. You bench Wood, he gets Wood on the bench because it's made out of wood. So for me, I don't think he's a worthy bench candidate either, which means I'm landing back on Isaac again this week. Now, Isaac hobbled off of a groin. They've already had injuries to Hall, suspension to Gordon. The last thing they need is Isaac to not be available for the Carabao Cup final. So if there's any slight doubt, I would expect either Isaac to start on the bench to preserve him, or just to miss this game entirely. And in that case, it's a pretty easy benching decision, I think, again, for Isaac. And that's sort of where I'm landing at this moment in time. So, benching ratings for Game Week 28. This is how I've got it at the moment. Defenders. Liverpool defence, obviously you should be starting them. Munoz, then Arsenal defence. Then really it could be the Chelsea defence. I can't see them conceding either, but no one really owns Chelsea defenders, but that's where they would fall in. It's then Kirkus, Hoytson, Guardiol, Robinson, Mikalenko, Aina, Milinkovic, Castagna, Williams, and Collins. Obviously, if your player is from a team that I've covered there with one of the other players, that's where I think you should be playing that player, realistically speaking. But these are the more popular assets. Midfielders, it's the Chelsea mids all day long, Liverpool mids all day long, Bowen, Eze, Mbuemo, Matoma, Bournemouth mids, Bruno Fernandes, Gibbs White, Son, don't even know if anyone owns him anymore, Minte, Trossard, and then Wanyeri. I know Arsenal scored 7 goals. I still don't rate them. And I think the Premier League is significantly better than PSV. That's why Erik ten Hag, the egghead, failed at Man United, is because of the fact that the Premier League is much harder than the Dutch League. Forwards, it's Wissa at the top, Beto, Wood, Haaland, Mateta, Gakpo, Watkins, Marmoush, Raul, João Pedro, Welbeck, Delap, and Isaac. Now, you'll probably sit there and go, why have I got Wissa at the top? Well, Aston Villa have been god-awful after they've played in the Champions League. They won 3-1 away. They're going to be on a high. And every time they've been on a high after the Champions League, they've absolutely sucked. So for that reason, Wissa is at the top of my list. I believe that he will score this week. I'm pretty confident in that, and I'm certainly hoping so with him being part of the D Units team. So, on to my team selection for Game Week 28. This is how we're lining up. So, it's Becker at home to Southampton, along with Trent. It's a really good double up there. I love those fixtures, and I'm hoping they both play. I can't see Southampton scoring against them. And as long as Trent makes it to 60 minutes and they sub him off, he could get anything. I don't know if Slot will rotate, but I'm hoping that he doesn't, because otherwise it will be Milinkovic at this point in time coming off my bench to replace him, and then I've got no other defensive coverage because obviously Hall at the moment is sitting there on the bench, but he's out injured. No good. So yeah, Robinson obviously has the Brighton away fixture. Now Fulham are much better away from home, and I expect him to start this game, so I'm not too concerned there. Kirkes again. Tottenham, you don't know what they're going to do. They can concede goals. Kirkes is in great form for Bournemouth, and if he keeps whipping in crosses like that, he's going to continue getting returns. It's something that I really like moving forward there. Then in the midfield, we've got the midfield five. So Cole Palmer at the moment has got the vice captain again. He is playing the Leicester at home fixture. Surely this is the week where he goes bang. I'm certainly hoping it is. Salah, obviously you cannot bet against this man. If he starts, he's going to be the best captaincy choice by a mile, I would have thought, with that Southampton at home fixture and the amount of chances that they give up. Liverpool are predicted to score so many goals as well, even more goals than Chelsea did based on the bookies' odds. So for me, it's a no-brainer to go with him. And I just think that because the Premier League title's not wrapped up and they don't want to probably lose the momentum, and the fact that Salah had a bit of an off night against PSG, I think that we'll see Mo Salah star here, and he could get anything. He could get upwards of any 3 returns. But because of the fact it's so uncertain, that's why I don't think it's a good triple captain week. And I also do believe you can play it better on some of the remaining doubles that we'll have later in the season. Brian Mbeumo, he's got the Aston Villa at home fixture. I'm pretty excited about that one as well. I think he'll be great. Kluivert obviously is away at Tottenham, but that does not scare me. The way Tottenham play, it does look like a pretty good fixture, and there's every chance they give up a penalty and Kluivert's there to take it. And as I said, Bruno Fernandes is Manchester United. Like, the dude is so good. If it wasn't for Bruno, we'd be definitely getting relegated instead of Ipswich or Leicester. I can tell you that much straight off the bat. He's a great option. I'm happy to have him in the team, and he rolls again in a midfield 5 this week. And that leaves Krista Woody Woodpecker at home to Manchester City and Wissa at home to Aston Villa as my 2 starting forwards. Now, Isaac's got the green fixture. I'm just not convinced that that fixture is green anymore. It shouldn't be. They should adjust in the fixture difficulty rating. I think Newcastle are going to definitely be having their minds on the Carabao Cup final, and for that very reason, I don't think that it's a good option to start Isaac. I didn't start him last week. He completely missed. Didn't expect him to miss, but he did. It was a genius call. Unfortunately, everyone got points off their bench because everyone else literally started him. But I think, again, this week, I just can't see him doing too much, even if he does start. So, on to the Game Week 28 deadline decisions. Before we have a look at what I'm going to do with my team live in the actual, website. FPL website. My God, I've lost my train of thought. So, deadline decisions. Blank Game Week 29 needs to be behind transfers being made. Liverpool, Aston Villa, Crystal Palace and Newcastle United, all their players, if you've got too many of them, they need to be moved along with injured and bad players. All blank and players from these teams should be moved to avoid free hitting in Game Week 29. There is too much unknown stuff in FPL at the moment in terms of the FA Cup and how it's going to affect blanks and doubles the rest of the season. The free hitting in Game Week 29 is just a no-go. I would recommend you take hits to just field a team, essentially. There's no point free hitting in Game Week 29, and I wouldn't be doing it if it's at all possible. West Ham, Wolves, Bournemouth assets. Using transfers over the next 2 game weeks, so Game Week 28 and 29, is critical in order to field a team in Game Week 29, as we just talked about, and taking hits is fine. 3 teams of amazing fixtures, though, from this week and beyond are Wolves, West Ham and Bournemouth, and I would recommend a total of about 5 assets across those 3 teams. Like, literally a quarter of your team should really be from these 3 teams. I think with the fixture runs coming up for all 3 teams, I think they're incredible assets to own, and I think that that's something that you could go to. Injured and suspended players. Now, the likes of Cunha, Hall, Mateta, Gordon and others under clouds that blank in game week 29 and are banned and or injured and are not going to be playing this week, they need to be moved out. I don't think you can hold them. I think if they're not playing this week and they're not playing next week, and in some cases, not playing again this season or the week after in game week 30, they have to be sold. I don't care how much money you've got tied up in them. For me, they have to be priority sells. Picking differentials is key for gaining rank, or if you are happy with your rank, picking players to protect. So, for example, if you're in like my position and you were quite happy top 5k and you didn't have Chris Wood and you had Cunha, Mateta and Isaac, I would recommend you go for Chris Wood. Chris Wood's effective ownership is huge at that probably rank, and you probably want to guard against that in order to protect your rank rather than go for like a differential. But if you wanted to, you could go for a Beto, hope that Beto outscores Wood and continue to gain rank that way. I'm just trying to explain the two different ways you can go against it. Captaincy decisions. Do you go against Salah, gamble on Palmer, or do you gamble even further and just bring in Haaland and ditch Palmer this week like some people have been doing? They're all possible solutions. I'm just not sure if I like any of them more than the other. And I think it's dumb to bet against Mo Salah with the kind of form that he has been in all season long. So, into the game app. Now, I've just gone to the transfers bit to show you that I've got 2 free transfers, 1.2 million in the budget. If you do want to catch out my name, obviously the league code is on the right-hand side of this video, LDV6FK. As you can see there, 67 points, 4,687, 1,936 points in total. Pretty happy with that. With the transfers, though, these are my options. One, I get rid of Hall and I bring in Munoz. So if I brought in Munoz this week, that means I got 0.8 million in the bank, right? And I've bought in Munoz. I play a 3. Munoz comes in for probably Robinson in my team, and Robinson drops to the bench. And then I play Munoz at home. Looks already kind of better on paper. And that's the only move I do this week. That leaves you with 2 free transfers next week. And this is probably what I would do next week. So getting rid of Palmer and getting rid of Isaac. Now, as I said before, I really want to get Erling Haaland, and there's a couple of ways of doing this. So I've got 5.9 million in the bank. Now, when you go to the midfielders here, let's go back here. So midfielders, there are a few different options, right? So actually, we'll change the price there. We can afford 5.9, so we'll do 5.8. Don't like Iwobi, don't like Rodgers, don't like Semenyo. You could bring in. I mean, they've got a decent run of fixtures. Brentford, Ipswich. I'm just not sure if that I want to double up on the Bournemouth midfield. I think 1 is perfectly fine. I've already got the one that stands out the most to me from this range is either Minte, which is down here at 5 mil. He's had a really good run of fixtures, but unfortunately, the next few aren't the easiest. It's not until game week 32 where Brighton have that amazing kind of run again. So I'm not sure about Minte, but it's definitely someone I could have. But in reality, I want to maximize this pick next week. Realistically, it's probably Elanga. Now, Elanga hasn't done much the last 3 weeks. In fact, he hasn't done much in the last 6 weeks, except that one massive game where he got 13 points against Brighton and they scored 7 goals. So I could bring in Elanga, and that would leave me with money on the bench. So just whack that in there to just show you what that is. So as you can see, that would leave me 0.6 in the bank and no playing goalkeeper. So I would actually play with 10 and just forget about that, or hope that Areola gets injured this week and Fabianski starts next week. But that is the first plan that I could potentially do. Now, a second plan, which I really thought about this particular week. So instead of, Elanga, is going with Gibbs White. So Gibbs White, I think, is a far better pick, more consistent, and he obviously got that 16 when he got 13, but he's also got 5, 5, and 5. So in like the last 6 weeks, he's returned in 4 of those weeks. And if you go back even further to like the last 10, he's returned in, I think, 7 of the last 10, which is super good. So he's pretty consistent, and with the Ipswich fixture, I feel like I could easily triple up on Nottingham Forest. So I don't mind Gibbs right there. Then it gives me 4.4. So in this case, I'd have to go back to the defenders, and then it's a real toss-up, right? Between whether I want Wan-Bissaka, who this week has Newcastle, decent fixture, Everton away, and then Wolves away, Bournemouth at home, Liverpool away, but then he finishes the season super well. He's a player I just bring in, plug in, don't have to think about him the rest of the season. Or I go, instead of Ait Nouri, I'm just going to write his name in because it's going to be quicker for me to find out, is Doherty. Now, Doherty here, 0.4% ownership, massive differential. And as you can see there, he's obviously got 1 goal in the last 6 games and he's kept 2 clean sheets. And if you go back a bit further, he's obviously got those attacking returns there. Like, he's got the big points in his locker if he wants. Obviously got an own goal back down here. And his defensive data's up there. And the 3 fixtures will be Everton at home, Southampton away, West Ham at home. They all look like really good fixtures the next 3 weeks. And then he's got Ipswich and 31. Like, the next 4 weeks for Wolves are incredible. But Wan-Bissaka's long term is better. So it's either one of those 2 or the others. So I'll just whack him in there. Now, there is a different world. And this is where my 3rd and 4th options come in. Where I actually get rid of Gibbs White for... let's change to midfielders. For Jared Bowen. And I need to make 0.8 mil, right? So this is where I would get rid of Alisson Becker. That leaves me at 4.7 in the bank. And we go to goalkeepers. And I could easily bring in... I'm not sure who I would actually go for, to be honest. I'm probably likely, if I was to do this move, to go for... I'm going to probably play it really boring. And just add in Areola. Now, the reason why is because this would only last until our wild card, right? And then I'd fix up this goalkeeper situation. But it will see me through, and at least it was 0.5 in the bank, which then means I can make a transfer in game week 30. I'll roll in 29. Game week 30, I would sit there and be able to sell Robinson to Munoz. And then obviously I've got the Palace assets covered. And then it's a matter of whether I want to bring in Mateta for one of my forwards. And then I just sacrifice Trent to do it, which almost means that I can delay my wild card until whenever the hell I want to play it, which I quite like the idea of. So let me know in the comments which one of these you like. Sorry that this video has gone a lot longer than possible. I just thought it'd be better to show you my line of thinking and what moves you think would be best. Let me know what I could do. Those are the 4 players that obviously I'm thinking of moving. Obviously, if I didn't do the Haaland move at all and just kept Isaac, I could then keep Becker and just move Fabianski. I wouldn't need the money because I'll obviously be, if I sold Cole Palmer, it gives you money to do whatever I want in my team because I wouldn't be buying Haaland. So yeah, I'm intrigued to know what everyone thinks. Let me know in the comments. But that's my plans for the foreseeable, for me getting through game week 29. Most of it relies upon me probably taking a points hit of -4 over the next 2 weeks. I mean, in theory, I could do -8 this week, sets my team up, roll next week completely, and then I'd have 2 free transfers in game week 30, which then means I can then look to bring in Munoz and then Mateta up front, potentially for Wissa from that moment onwards. I am intrigued to know what people think, though, and that's definitely something I really want to consider moving forward. So that's my team selection and final plugs for Game Week 28. I will be back at the normal time tomorrow for a deadline day stream. 9 a.m. UK start time. I'll be here for 2 hours up until the deadline. Make sure you join me for that. Set it along. I'm going to schedule it very shortly, so it should be showing up in your feeds. And obviously, if you've got any questions about your team, whack them in the comments. Let me know what you think about the video. Did you like the last little bit about me actually showing you in the app in terms of what moves I want to make for my own team? Was that helpful? Was it not? Obviously, I've got quite high squad value as well. And if you've made it through all that and you still enjoyed it, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I'd much appreciate it. Much love, the D Unit.